If I might, first to Ms. Keating, thank you for sharing your personal experiences with us. I think that was important testimony. And as a parent myself, I know your parents, Lisa and Dimitri, must be unbelievably proud of you and your courage in testifying today. There's been a lot of discussion so far about the perspective of the faith community on the Equality Act, and I wanted to contribute to that today, if I might. Dr. Guffey, you've spoken about your personal faith and how it informs your belief that all of us should be treated with dignity and respect and not discriminated against. My own faith also informs my view. Nobody should have to face discrimination in housing, in the workplace, in accommodations, and access to public services because of who they are or who they love. Yesterday, I met with a group of leaders from Faith for Equality, a coalition that's collected 17,000 signatures from across the country, literally every state in the country. And I'll submit this for the record, but it is a petition of clergy, community leaders, advocates, and people of faith from literally every state who support the Equality Act. It was Rabbi Jack Moline, president of the Interfaith Alliance, who introduced me to Faith for Equality. Some of the leaders are well known, like Sister Simone Campbell, the director of Network Lobby for Catholic Social Justice, I suspect better known as one of the leaders of Nuns on the Bus. Reverend Jennifer Butler, the CEO of Faith and Public Life Action from my own denomination, from the Presbyterian Church, a network of 50,000 faith leaders. Maggie Sadiq, the Faith and Progressive Policy Initiative leader at the Center for American Progress, and others. More generally, the Equality Act is specifically endorsed by 120 faith-based organizations, in addition to these thousands of individuals. So let me, if I might, Dr. Guffey, ask you, I think it's important to dispel the misperception about what this law would and wouldn't do, and in particular directly in the exercise of faith and its practice and worship. In your view, is there any way the Equality Act would result in houses of worship being forced to perform services, activities, actions to which they object as a matter of their faith or doctrine?
Thank you for that question, and thank you for the opportunity to address this. As I said in my statement, faith is so important and is a bedrock for so many people. And there is really nothing in the Equality Act that will force any house of worship to do anything that is against their faith. I think one of the things that is so important to remember is we are all going to always have differences of opinion where the issues of faith are concerned. And so the real issue here is about the law and equal treatment under the law, because I am never going to change anyone's mind about their faith, and neither should I try. And neither should they try to change my mind about my faith. And so what really matters is the law. And that's all this is about. And that is equal treatment under the law. No one, the Equality Act requires no church to do anything under the Equality Act. The Equality Act really is about equal treatment under the law.
Dr. Guffey, you also spoke.
And if we stay in that lane, that would be great.
Dr. Guffey, if I might, you also spoke about your own experiences and your views as the mother of a transgender child, something we also heard from the Congresswoman from Illinois, Congresswoman Newman. For those of us on the committee who are parents, what would you urge us to think about or to weigh as we consider this bill and the path forward?
I really would ask you to consider, how would you like your own child to be treated? If it were your child, how would you like your child to be treated? Period. Without all of the other distractions, what would you want for your child? Because that's the bottom line. It's not a choice. No one asked. This is how God has created your child. And how would you like for them to be treated? Equal treatment under the law. That's what it is about.
Thank you, Dr. Guffey. If you might, briefly, Mr. David, could you also speak to the question of whether the Equality Act will compel faith communities to do anything specifically that is against their doctrine or practice or beliefs in how they conduct themselves in houses of worship. And then I will hand this off to the next Republican questioner. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you for that question, Senator. The answer to your question is no. Religious-based institutions will not be required to change their faith or their practices. And specifically, there was a question or reference made to the Religious Freedom and Restoration Act. The Equality Act does not get rid of the Religious Freedom and Restoration Act. It simply restores the Religion Freedom and Restoration Act to its original intent, which was it was not to be used as a sword to impose religious beliefs on others, but instead a shield against discrimination. The Equality Act simply clarifies that RFRA cannot be used to defend discrimination in civil rights law. It does not alter, it does not amend the RFRA standard in any way, in any type of claim. When RFRA was passed, the debate centered on how to protect minority religious practices, including, for example, ensuring that Native Americans could engage in traditional religious practices, Jewish children could wear yarmulkes in public schools, or Muslim firefighters could wear beards. Nothing in the Equality Act changes that. And as we know, courts have long rejected religious claims as a reason to deny civil rights protections, including those based on race and sex. And the same analysis would apply here. So I do think, going back to Dr. Guffey, it's important that we focus on the facts. And the Equality Act does not do what our opponents are claiming it to do. You can just simply look at the text and it'll be very clear that it simply clarifies what the Religious Freedom and Restoration Act was intended to do.
Thank you.